Nordic prehistory and the Viking Age, a collection of myths emerged, complete with gods and goddesses, heroes and monsters, sacred objects and magic. In Norse mythology, a realm of Asgard is occupied by the Aesir, made up of the principal gods. The most cherished and beloved of all the gods was Odin's son, Balder, god of light, beauty, love, and happiness. The following performance depicts the tragedy of his death and the consequences that fall on the culprit. One day, Balder lay asleep in Asgard, encompassed by nightmares. His father, Odin, arrives to find out what's wrong.
My son, what is it that ails you?
It's these nightmares. Every time I fall asleep, I keep having them.
Alright, I should go to hell, see the Cirrus, and see what problems afoot.
And so Odin, the Allfather, on his 8-legged steed Sleipnir, descended down to the realms of hell in order to ask the deceased Cirrus, Angrboda, what was in store for his son. The grand hall of hell was strangely gleaming with gold rings and decorated with gold ornaments. Odin swept past the hall and halted at the grave of Angrboda.
Who has summoned me?
It is I, the Allfather.
And what is it that you seek of me?
Tell me about my son's dream.
Balder, you see these decorations? These are for Balder when he dies.
What, dies?
Indeed, and mine pod will carry the fatal branch.
Tell me more. When will this happen?
This is what I've said, and I'll say no more.
And so Odin returned to Asgard to warn everybody of Balder's fate. The gods and goddesses gathered in Gladsheim to decide how to avoid Balder's death after Odin told his wife, Frigg, of their son's destiny.
Surely you lied.
I do not. This is what Angrboda has told me.
I must find a way to stop you. I know. I'll ask everything in all 9 worlds not to harm Balder.
Frigg traveled through the 9 worlds, getting each and every substance to swear an oath to not harm Balder. She implored fire, water, iron, and all metals, stones, earth, trees, illnesses, and animals, to all leave Balder unscathed. Frigg returned to Asgard, triumphant in her task, and she tells Odin, Balder, and all the gods of what has transpired.
It's done. Everything is vowed not to hurt Balder.
That's good news.
It was then that a god in the crowd decided to test Balder's invincibility, and tossed a pebble at the god of beauty. The pebble bounces harmlessly off.
I didn't feel a thing.
The Aesir continued to subject Balder to all sorts of pain, but nothing would harm him. They all found it very entertaining, except Loki, the sly one, who was sickened by Balder's immunity because pain and suffering was his meat and drink. He devised a plan to take down Balder. Loki came to Fensalir, Frigg's dwelling place, and shape-changed into an old woman.
Can I help you?
Yes. I just happened to be traveling near Gladsheim and just saw the stoning of a poor young man. What's happening?
I suppose you haven't heard. Well, Balder is now invincible. The gods are just having fun.
That's very interesting. May I ask how he became invincible?
It's simple, really. All I did was ask every substance not to harm him.
Absolutely everything?
Well, not mistletoe. I thought it was too young to bother with.
Well, thank you.
Armed with this new information, Loki was formulating a scheme. The entertainment continued. Loki had traveled to Valhalla and retrieved a branch of mistletoe, which he sharpened. He spotted the god, Blind Hod, who stood aside from all the gods, shunned as usual.
Greetings, friend.
That must be Loki.
Indeed it is. Say, why aren't you engaging in this merriment?
I can't see. How could I?
Here, friend, I'll help you.
My son!
As Loki escaped, the gods mourned over Balder's shocking and sudden death. Then Frigg decided that she would try to get her dead son back.
Who would like to win my favorite and go to hell to ask for Balder?
I will.
Odin's bold and admirable son, Hermod, took Frigg's offer and galloped off to hell aboard Sleipnir. While Hermod was gone, The time had come for Balder to have a fitting funeral. The gods lifted Balder's body and brought him closer to the sea. They try to put him in the pyre at the waist of his boat, Ringhorn, but are not strong enough. They decide to summon the giantess, Hyrokin.
Odin, we're not strong enough.
Indeed, we must summon Hyrokin.
What is it that you ask?
Ringhorn, you must push it to sea.
As Hyrokin pushes the boat out to sea, the gods light the pyre. However, a dwarf named Lit, who found the proceedings boring, dashed in front of the despaired Thor. In his agitated state, Thor kicks him into the fire. At the same time, Hermod had reached the domain of Hel. Hermod found Hel in her dark palace near the heart of Niflheim.
What do you want?
All of this year wish for Balder to be returned.
I'll tell you what, if everything in the world weeps for Balder, I'll let him return.
Believing the task to be easy, Hermod leaves the realm of Hel to tell the rest of the gods. Hermod told Frigg of Hel's bargain, and Frigg and Thor set out to get everything to weep. Frigg and Thor had succeeded in convincing everything else to weep, and only had to convince Thok, the giant.
You must weep, otherwise Balder will be imprisoned and held forever.
Why should I? I don't need Balder. Go back to Gladsheim and tell them that they're not getting Balder back to them.
The disheartened Frigg and Thor returned to Gladsheim to mourn. Though neither of them doubted that Thok was really Loki, after the encounter, Loki escaped to Fernang Falls. Loki took up residence near Fernang Falls and built an inescapable fish net while he was there. Little did he know that Thor and Kvasir, the smartest of all the gods, were coming to capture him.
That house is probably Loki's hiding place.
The two head towards the house, but Loki burns the fish net, transforms into a salmon, and enters a nearby stream.
That salmon was undoubtedly Loki.
How will we capture him?
I think I can recreate this net.
After a few minutes of tinkering, Kvasir had reproduced Loki's net, and the two used it to try and get Loki. Loki swam downstream to avoid the net and jumped out of the water as the net grew nearer, only to be snatched by Thor. They took him to be punished. Now, Heimdall, the protector of Asgard, and Odin arrived to help Thor punish Loki. First, they captured Loki's two sons, Narvi and Vali.
What are you doing with my sons?
Just watch.
Before Loki's very eyes, Vali is transformed into a wolf and tears his brother's entrails out. The wolf Vali then dashes off into the night.
We'll tie him up with this.
Is that all?
Not quite.
Odin produces a snake and hangs it above Loki, and let it drip venom onto the trickster's face. Luckily for Loki, his faithful wife Sin appears and comes to aid her beloved husband.
Here, I'll just put a bucket to stop the venom.
But what happens when it's full?
I'll just dump it like this.
As Sigyn goes to dump the venom in the bowl, fresh venom lands on Loki's face, causing him to scream in pain. And this is how the gods left Loki, and this is how he will remain until Ragnarok, the end of the world.